Sophie Carter's world was steeped in tea. From the first cup of the day to the last sip before bed, tea was her constant companion. Each variety had its own charm: green tea for quiet mornings, herbal tea for calming evenings, and bold black tea for the afternoons when her mind raced with thoughts. Sophie's love for tea wasn't just about the drink, it was the stories each blend told. Her grandmother had introduced her to the ritual of tea drinking, her mother had passed down secret recipes, and now, Sophie herself had become a connoisseur, carefully curating the finest teas for others at Tea Haven, the small, cozy tea shop she worked at in the heart of the city. Tea Haven was a sanctuary in a bustling world. The air inside always smelled of warm spices, dried flowers, and herbs. The shop was a blend of cozy corners, warm lighting, and shelves lined with jars of loose-leaf teas from every corner of the globe. Sophie thrived in the peaceful environment, serving customers, recommending blends, and carefully brewing each cup with love and attention. But Sophie's dream was bigger than Tea Haven. She longed to one day open her own tea house, a place where tea wasn't just served but celebrated. It was on a rainy evening that Sophie's life would change. The shop was nearly closing when the door chimed. In walked a man, his dark hair wet from the rain, his eyes tired yet curious. "I'm sorry, I know you're closing, but could I get something hot to drink?" he asked, looking around uncertainly. Sophie smiled. "We're about to close, but I can make you a quick cup." The man seemed grateful, though still a little nervous. Sophie went to work, selecting a fragrant chai blend she loved. As she prepared it, she noticed his restlessness. He paced slightly, tapping his fingers against the counter. There was something in his posture, a kind of quiet tension. She handed him the steaming cup and he took a sip. "This is incredible," he said, surprised, as he looked at her. "I didn't expect it to taste this good." Sophie smiled. Tea does that. It has a way of calming even the most chaotic minds. The man chuckled, his expression softening. "I needed this." Sophie didn't know why, but she felt drawn to him. "I'm Sophie," she said. "Liam," he replied. "Liam Bennett." From that night onward, Liam became a regular at Tea Haven. At first, he came for the tea, but soon, it was for the quiet comfort of the shop and the conversations that started to form between him and Sophie. He was a writer, struggling to finish his novel, often sitting at the same corner table with a cup of tea and a notebook in hand. Sophie would bring him new blends to try: floral oolongs, earthy pu'ers, and spicy chai, and each time, they would talk about their lives, their passions, and their dreams. Sophie began to notice how much Liam's presence brightened the shop. His visits became the highlight of her days, and slowly, they found themselves talking longer and more deeply. He shared his struggles with writer's block and his search for inspiration. Sophie shared her dreams of opening her own tea house, a place that would be just like Tea Haven but uniquely hers. One evening, as they sat together sipping a calming chamomile blend, Liam turned to her. "You know, I've been thinking," he said, his voice quieter than usual. "About what?" Sophie asked, intrigued. "About you. About your love for tea. You bring something special to every cup. You make tea more than just a drink, it's a story. It's magic." Sophie smiled, a little embarrassed. Tea has always been a part of me. It's more than just the drink. It's about the connection. Liam's eyes softened. You're right. It's like tea brings out the best in people. It connects them. Sophie's heart fluttered, but she didn't say anything. They both sat in silence for a while, letting the conversation settle between them like the warmth of the tea. The more time they spent together, the more Sophie realized how much she had come to care for Liam. His quiet, thoughtful nature had become something she craved. She found herself looking forward to his visits, their shared moments becoming the highlight of her days. But Liam seemed unaware of how deeply she had fallen for him. One evening, as they sat on the shop's little patio, Liam turned to her. "I've been thinking about something," he said, his tone hesitant. "You always talk about how tea connects people. But what if it's not just tea? What if it's us?" Sophie's heart skipped a beat. "What do you mean?" Liam took a deep breath. "What if we're a story too? What if we're meant to share this connection?" Sophie's breath caught in her throat. She had never allowed herself to think about the possibility of love with Liam. He was a friend, a fellow tea lover. But now, in this quiet moment, surrounded by the lingering scent of tea, it felt like everything had fallen into place. "I think I've always known," Sophie whispered. Liam reached for her hand, his fingers brushing against hers. "Then maybe it's time to write our own story," he said softly. And just like that, everything changed. Their connection deepened, and their friendship blossomed into something more. They worked together to open the tea house Sophie had always dreamed of, a cozy little haven where people could come to share stories, find comfort, and connect over a cup of perfectly brewed tea. As the tea house flourished, so did their love. Sophie and Liam discovered that, like tea, their relationship grew richer over time. The shop became their shared dream, a place where every cup told a story, every person felt welcome, and every connection was cherished. And as they stood behind the counter, serving tea to strangers who became friends, Sophie and Liam knew they had written the most beautiful love story of all.